That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
People have gotten tired of a lot of things these days.
And so,
like my wife, she doesn't want to hear us talk about conspiracy theories. She said, I'd rather hear you talk about spark plugs. Hey, this is Peter with That Don't Sound Right. It's good to be back. Hey, Cecil.
Hey, Peter. This is Cecil. And I am also glad to be back in the Camel City studios in Camel City.
That's very good. We, this is a special weekend for us.
Is it?
Our family. We're heading up to Richmond to see Emily, our chief logo designer.
Yeah.
Where she's actually studying illustration and communication arts.
That's awesome.
So we might have a version 2.0 of our logo one day.
Maybe she can do it as a project for her class.
Yeah, well, maybe you never know.
Yeah, that would be
Or
cool.
she'll get run out of class for coming up with what are you doing logos for? This is not that.
We need a communication student who wants to take on the podcast as a project to see how big they can make it.
Well, here's an interesting thing.
What's that?
So on public radio, our local public radio, WFDD.
Yes.
Wake Forest Demon Deacons. That's
right.
what FDD stands for.
Is that what that stands for?
It does.
I have never known what that stands for.
Yeah, it does.
When I lived in Rocky Mount, you know what the station was called?
WRMT.
WEED. It was a big tobacco. It was a big tobacco town.
Is it still WEED?
I don't know, but it was weed because it was big. Because they called tobacco weed. Before weed was weed, tobacco was weed, and so if I'm that radio station, I'm holding on to those call signs because eventually it's going to be legal. Marijuana will be legalized in this state. Yep, and then you have WEED is going to be very relevant. Yeah. Weed was not always because you would call tobacco weed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, good.
What do they call it in Lord of the Rings? They call it something else. They don't call it weed. Leaf.
Something leaf.
Leaf.
Something
called
leaf. Yeah.
So the golden leaf, people refer to it as weed.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So.
But WFDD, they have this thing called Radio Lab.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
For kids.
Is that local?
It is.
I didn't realize it was local. Mm-hmm. I knew it was for kids. But
they also have one for adults.
Really?
Where they teach you how to do a radio, like a radio report, news report on.
We need that.
Well, I think we need to apply.
We should. It would refine our podcasting skills.
Well, if anything, we could do a news report on what's it like to start a podcast in this era.
Yeah.
Right? As to rank amateurs, what's it like? What are the hurdles? What are the challenges?
We should.
Why is it so much fun?
We should look at that.
Why do we think what we have to say anyone want to listen?
That's the hard part. Is why is anybody? What can you talk about that will make people listen? Content is really important.
Right. Well, I think we've gotten we kind of know what people don't want to listen to.
I think so.
People have gotten tired of a lot of things these days.
And so,
like my wife, she doesn't want to hear us talk about conspiracy theories. She said, I'd rather hear you talk about spark plugs than conspiracy theories.
Yes.
Now, me personally, conspiracy theories, I could probably go a long time with.
Right.
But we're trying to keep this to 25 minutes, 15 to 25 minutes at that.
Yeah, and my brother said the thing he enjoyed is when we stay on brand, and that he doesn't enjoy it as much as when we get off the brand.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That's
right.
right.
So when we stay on a brand of That Don't Sound Right, that's a more interesting story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I going to spend a lot of time driving this weekend.
Are you?
Up to Richmond.
A lot of traffic?
It's not, believe it or not, it's not too bad until you get right into Petersburg, into Virginia, and up to Richmond. If I kept going north, 2 hours into D.C., then it'd be a parking lot.
I have a question for you about Richmond. You know when you come into Richmond and all of a sudden you're kind of above the city on 95 and you're kind of looking down?
Yeah.
How are you on that stretch of road? That stretch of road can be distracting to me.
It's one of my favorite stretches of
Is
road.
it?
It's curvy. Mm-hmm. It has changes in elevation.
Yes. But you've got billboards, like the electric billboards right through there.
Oh, I'm not paying attention.
You're glued on the road.
I'm feeling the curves.
Okay. Yeah, that little rise through there always is very distracting to me because there's so much to look at.
Yeah, there are.
And you're up above the city and you can see a lot of stuff. And like you said, you're in a curve and you're elevated. Yeah, it's
well, the interesting thing though is I'm getting my exit's right there. After the first big curve and you go down the hill. Yeah. At least I can take two different ways to get there.
Right.
But one of my first exits there. Yeah. So I'm paying attention, got to get in the correct lane because you'll miss it just like that. I was driving in Boston one time and I didn't realize, I was looking for my exit. All of a sudden I went into the tunnel. Yeah. This was before the big dig in Boston. Okay. This is the old tunnel. Came out in Chinatown, turned around. The exit was in the tunnel. Oh. I've never seen that before. That's the only place I've ever seen it. You exited underground and came up. Yeah. I mean, a town that's notorious, I feel, for you better be in the right lane or you're not going to make your exit or make your turn is Atlanta.
Yes.
And I don't care if it's an interstate or a secondary road or a surface street.
Yes.
They have very specific lanes you got to be in and they don't give you a whole lot of warning. No. And if you think you're going to be able to run up on the lane that doesn't have much traffic and get in, think again, pal.
Oh, yeah. You're not getting over. So my brother drives in that traffic all the time. Oh. But you're right. Yeah, if you're not in the right lane in Atlanta, you're going somewhere else.
Oh, forget about it.
Yeah. But speaking of Atlanta.
Yeah.
We were driving back from Atlanta. This was several years ago.
All right.
The girls were younger. And we're in our minivan. And this is important. So we're in the
fact that you're in a minivan?
Yeah, this is very important. This is key to that don't sound right. So we're in a Toyota Sienna.
All right.
Minivan.
Fine vehicle.
Right. Oh yeah, excellent vehicle.
Well, we could do a whole podcast on that, but
we could do a whole podcast.
We just lost half our listeners, so keep going.
So we're driving. And when I'm coming back from Atlanta, like to get off in Gastonia and come up. Is it 321?
321?
Yeah, but I make it even more complicated in that just before I get to Hickory, I cut off on 16 and cut across to 40. So I have essentially cut out Charlotte, Gastonia, and Hickory in one fell swoop.
Okay. But you just were in Atlanta. Who cares?
Well, that's true. And so I come up on 16. Now, 16 takes you through several little towns, including the town of Newton.
It's just a 2-lane road by then, right?
It's a 2-lane road.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a little 2-lane road. It goes out through Catawba, a little cute little beautiful little town. All right. Newton. So we
were turned me into a Newton.
We are driving cross country, and I have not eaten, and I'm probably not in the best of moods driving.
Do you get hangry, Cecil? Okay.
Okay. The older I get, the more hangry it affects me.
I mean, the whole family gets hangry, don't they?
Yeah. So we're tired. We've been driving for a long time. We've been in heavy traffic.
It's like you got a bag full of Wolverines in your car.
We're 2 hours from home. We really want to be home. Yeah. And I think we were trying to get home to eat, basically.
That's never, as much as you were trying to, do the right thing, save money or whatever, or, just hurry up and get there. Yep. It's generally just not the right thing to do, is it?
No.
It's just generally
you should just stop.
Just stop and eat. Right. And if you get home an extra hour later, at least you still will be talking.
That's probably the words of wisdom for tonight. Just stop and eat.
Just stop and eat. Yeah. Here's some words of wisdom.
What's that?
All right, so now we can use that as the words of wisdom. No. I'll come back.
You come back to your other words of wisdom.
I'll come back to another. It's a parenting thing. I actually learned it on road trips.
Really?
Yeah, I learned it on road trips.
Well, the just eat words of wisdom is important, just in life.
Let's just stop there.
Just for words of wisdom. Don't skip lunch. Don't skip breakfast. Just eat.
Just eat.
Yeah, it's important.
Okay.
So we're driving along.
All right.
And it's kind of hilly through there. It's kind of a foothills sort of area. Right. And so as you
hey, you're hungry. At least you're not going to get car sick.
No. Yeah. So you're going up and down, and as we're coming into Newton. I notice up ahead there is a parade And so the parade is perpendicular to the road that I'm on, okay? So I'm approaching the road that the parade is going down.
Okay.
And so this is a parade that they have every year in this small town. And I didn't know it at the time, but it is this like 2 or 3 day festival that they have.
So all of your planning to skip Gastonia, to skip Charlotte,
right?
You've got the Newton Parade to continue
Newton Parade with.
All right.
So, and this is a 2 or 3 day festival. It's not a cryptic festival as the two, like Beast of Blaber or Mothman.
That's too bad.
So I'm coming into town, and as I come into town, I'm looking ahead at the parade, and all of a sudden, Christy like screams, and she's like, "Watch out!" She screams, and I look back, and there's a 2x4 barricade.
Whoa!
So one single 2x4 that has been made like a sawhorse, basically, unpainted.
Yeah, it's stretching across.
It's stretching across my lane.
The whole road.
Just my lane.
Just your lane.
Yeah.
How many lanes is this?
So it's 2 lanes.
All right.
So the other lane has got a 2x4 sawhorse at the other end.
So the lane going into town. Is blocked with a sawhorse.
Is barricaded with a sawhorse.
No, not painted.
Not painted. An unpainted, color of the pavement 2x4 made like a sawhorse.
So I'm just trying to think about the whole parade planning meeting that someone. So Mike, you got the barricade, okay?
Right.
Mike doesn't show up.
Yeah.
So
they're like,
what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Well, I think we got some sawhorses at the hardware store.
Bring them on. Bring them down here and set them up. So she screams. I look down.
Yeah.
The sawhorse is in the road. I slam on brakes, and then I slam into the barricade. I hit it.
Okay, let's stop calling it a barricade and call it a sawhorse.
Right. I slam into the sawhorse. And so I look up, and there's a police officer. So you have to let me just paint a picture for you. Okay, so there's people lining the road right here, even though it's not the main parade route, because there's people kind of walking back and forth. They're laughing at what just occurred.
I'm laughing. Oh, so this is like at the very beginning of the parade, or it's close to the beginning?
I can see the parade. The parade's going by. So I'm 1 block back from the parade at this point. I've hit this sawhorse.
Right.
There are people that have seen it that are now laughing at the Toyota Santa that's hit it. And in the space between that barricade and the parade, there's a police car.
Right.
So I see the policeman, and I wave to him, and I'm backing up to turn around, and he is signaling me forward.
Oh.
So I pull forward. Because all I was going to do.
Did you drive over the barricade to get to him?
So I drove around the barricade.
You went on the oncoming lane.
I went in the oncoming lane because there's no traffic coming because of the parade. Right.
Because the sawhorse is effective on the other side.
Right, the sawhorse on the other side. Well, there's a lot of people in cars in the parade, then a sawhorse. And so now I've gone around the sawhorse. And
policeman wants to check you out, right?
The policeman wants to talk to me because I was just going to leave. At this point, I just want any way out of this town that I can get.
Is this felony hit and run?
Well, so he pulls me over.
Okay.
So I'm in this dead man space or no man's land between. Yes. So I said, "Hey, officer, I'm just going to turn around." And he said, "No, I can't let you go." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, I may have to write you a ticket. I need to call my sergeant or something." I said, "Okay." So Christy is also talking to the officer at this point about
a different officer.
No,
the same
same officer about the sawhorse.
Oh, yes,
and that don't sound legit. Right. Yeah, that is not a. So I'm sitting there. I said, I'm hungry.
Oh my gracious! Yes,
I might be getting a ticket.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I've done damage to the van at this point. So, and then there's, of course, people on both sides of the road watching this whole spectacle play out.
Now, this is before cell phones, right?
I think we had cell phones. I don't know. They're very advanced at this point.
Everyone's not taking a video.
No. It's nothing like that. Yeah. So after a few minutes, so we're sitting there. It felt like 5 or 10 minutes, and so finally the officer comes back and he said, "I'm going to let you go." I said, "Officer, if you'll just tell me how to get out of this town, you will never see me in Newton again." And he said, "Well, I'm going to let you go." He said, "You're the 3rd person to hit the barricade today."
Did he write the other guy's tickets?
I don't know. But I was like, I didn't say this to the officer, but I was like, well, if 3 people have hit your barricade, it might not be a barricade.
Might not be a barricade.
It might be a 2x4 that's not painted that looks like it's the color of the pavement.
Right.
So, so he's like, yeah. So I just, when he said that, I was like, okay, well, I don't feel as bad if I'm the 3rd person to hit it. But now I'm still in the no man's land between the barricade and the parade.
Right.
And so this is what he says to me. This is true. And this is where it don't sound right, but it is 100% true. He says, I can't stop the parade to let you go through. He said, but I can put you in the parade, and you can go to the end of the parade route, take a left, and then you'll be back on to 16 and you can leave town. I said, you have got to be kidding me. He said,
why can't you just turn around?
Well, that would be, that's why
just turn around? Why is it making it so complicated?
I don't know. Again, in retrospect, so he...
You know what this is?
What's that?
It's punishment.
It may have been.
This is your payment to society.
It may have been. So now imagine what's going by in front of me. You know, it's like 57 Chevy Bel Air, 65 Corvette, classic Mustang.
Politicians and beauty queens sitting on the back of the
right. Yeah, like small town floats and just classic car after classic car after classic car.
What time of year was this?
I want to say it's like September, October.
What? This must have been like the watermelon festival or something.
Yeah, there's some annual festival that this town has. And again, just to imagine the line of classic cars that's going by. That's the part of the parade that's going by.
Right,
the classic cars. So he stops like a 57 Chevy and pulls the Sienna minivan in. And so now we're in the parade. And so I just tell the girls, I was just like, wait, roll the windows down and start waving. So we're going through town and people are watching and they're waving like,
what is this?
What's the van in here for? And so there we are. We wave our way all the way through town, get to the end of the parade route, and then I make my way back to Winston-Salem as quickly. But I do stop and eat because I'm like...
Those are good. That's a what?
I can't... Well,
after that?
After that, yes. So that is the that don't sound right story.
That don't sound right.
And in retrospect, I think he put me in the parade just... for the fun of it.
Oh yeah.
100%.
I mean, that was his entertainment.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't get to write you a ticket, so let's
stick you in the parade.
He must have put the other 2 in the parade too. You weren't the first.
Now here's the prologue to this story.
Okay.
About 3 or 4 years later, I'm driving back from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Same route.
Yeah.
And I look up ahead, and I looked at Christy, and I was like, I can't believe it. We are back in Newton on this same weekend. And there ahead of me was the same parade going by.
Tell me there's a better barricade.
No, I didn't. I was like, we got to figure out another way. We're not getting mixed up in this time. Yeah. So, but I managed to hit it twice. Not the barricade, but managed to hit the parade. I managed to hit the parade 2 times in a row. I was like, I can't believe this.
Yeah, I don't imagine. Does your family, is this something like a family story?
Yes, a family story. Yeah. The funny thing is our kids were not they were young enough to for some reason or hangry enough that they weren't fascinated by the fact that this Toyota Sienna was in a parade. They were kind of like reading or whatever. Right. We were like, look at what's happening.
Why are we waving? What?
Yeah, but for Christy and I, it was quite entertaining.
I bet you that was. Did y'all take a picture?
I don't know. There may be one somewhere.
What about damage to the van?
There's no damage. 2x4.
That's another that don't sound right.
A 2x4 does relatively little damage.
Maybe that's why they put it up there.
When you hit it. Now, I was going slow and managed to brake pretty hard. I kind of just ended up just kind of...
So you kind of like bumped it, pushed it down.
Pushed it down, which is not hard to push a solvers over. So, if you're going through that on 16 in the fall of the year...
This is about that time.
It's just about that time.
I'm thinking we might... I asked the question, why did we do a live episode?
Right.
I think we might need to go find this festival and do a live episode.
Just do the live episode.
And we'll do it at the barricade.
Yeah, at the 2x4. I'm hoping they have better barricades now.
Either way, we'll be there.
So that is my that don't sound right story for now. This is what my 3rd or 4th time when I've almost gotten a ticket, because I almost got one with the leaves.
Right.
When we talked about Larry King.
I guess you almost got 2 tickets with the leaves.
Almost got 2 tickets. No noise ordinance and
the leaves themselves.
Yeah. And then the jury story where I almost got thrown in prison for contempt of court.
That's got a big deal.
Yeah, contempt of court. And here where I shattered their barricade. 3 police. We need to do that as a series on the website.
Yeah, well, we can group those together. Cecil's near misses with the law.
Well, I know it don't sound right, but you have come to the end of yet another episode of That Don't Sound Right.
Hey, but before we close, again, I want to just recognize some folks that are making this podcast happen. First, the chief audio engineer and studio musician, Cecil.
We need to change that name. I need to have like a pseudonym for my engineering stuff so that when you announce it, it sounds like we have a big staff.
A big staff, right. No, let's keep it real. Yeah, and because the web practitioner is me.
Yeah, thank you, Peter.
Yeah, no problem.
And hey, go visit the website Peter's created. It looks good.
Give us some feedback. Maybe there's something you'd like to see.
And it's under construction, so there's still some parts that are still under construction, but the parts that aren't look really good.
It's under construction, and it's very flexible.
Yeah,
I know how to click on different boxes to make things change.
And it makes it much easier to contact us.
Right.
Yeah.
You can leave us a message there, and somehow it'll get to us through the internet. And also thanks to Emily Bielman for our logo design.
Absolutely. And they're great logos. They look good on the beer stein, the coffee mug, and the T-shirt.
And the T-shirts, that's right.
Yeah. And shout out to listener number 1, as always, and our brand ambassador.
The brand ambassador.
Yeah, the brand ambassador.
And I think another shout out and thanks to our Canadian listeners that are really picking it up. You know, we issued the challenge a couple months ago, maybe 9 months ago, to tell, all you got to do is tell one other person.
Right.
It seems like they really picked up the challenge.
The Canadians seem to have really picked up the challenge. So Uganda, you guys are lagging behind now. We have Kenya listeners that are lagging behind. What was it? St. Vincent.
I haven't seen them in a while.
I haven't seen them. You guys have completely disappeared.
I think they're back off. I think they're no longer on vacation.
Where else we had? Australia.
Australia's still there.
Australia's still there.
Yeah.
You guys have a good shot at coming along.
That's right.
Where else have we been? I think we've had some France.
We have some Russian.
Russian.
I don't know what's going on with that.
I don't know. I can't figure out the Russian connection.
Right. There must be some kind of routing of the internet that's going through some servers there that make it look like it's coming through. I don't think it's going through Russia.
England, I think jolly old England has been on there, but the Canadians, you guys and girls are just killing it.
That's right.
Y'all are doing a great job.
Thanks a lot.
And keep talking.
Stay curious.